block check.
Good evening, clientele. Hey guys, welcome back to Beyond the Feet. In this video we're taking our first run in the New Balance Beacon version 3. So I did end up running about 250 k's in the version 2. Currently wearing it on my feet for a work shoe nowadays. It's just been demoted to that position. And just picked up the version 3 just recently. I love this shoe as far as a lightweight daily trainer goes. Heaps of cushioning underneath the feet, even though it is quite a low stack height. But the fresh foam that New Balance are using, there's still enough cushioning underneath the whole foot, even if you are somewhat a heel striker. I personally kind of that mid-foot to forefoot striker, and I'm a massive forefoot push-offer. A lot of pleasure underneath the foot. Haven't changed too much of this compared to the version 2, since the version 1 and 2 were pretty simplistic. Nothing really needed to be changing, just a few things that need to be refining. Love this upper on the version 3. They're kind of gone with like a neoprene as well as memory foam backing, so there's actually no heel counter there. Some people, if you do get irritated by a heel counter or just something that doesn't fit onto your heel alright, this ultra heel that New Balance has used, very pleasurable. You got kind of each padding on either side of the Achilles. There's nothing really cushioned on the Achilles side, just either side of them. The upper, very nice and breathable, nicely dialed in. I ended up doing probably about a 25k run in the version 2. I'd probably say that it was a bit too much. If you were looking at something you just wanted to build up to a half marathon in, or even use it as a race day shoe, the Beacon series would easily utilise that. You'd need to be quite an efficient runner if you wanted to use this for a marathon shoe, especially when there's just so many carbon plated shoes nowadays that you could easily pick up for a marathon. If you are wanting a budget shoe and doing a ton of Ks in, I think New Balance have these for 170 bucks or 180. I did see them on their website for sale for 120. So if you end up picking up a lightweight daily trainer, this actually ticks a lot of boxes, even if you want something that is a slightly bit more cushioned than quite a few other just daily trainers out the market that aren't lightweight. So I think these come in around 210 grams. So it's very lightweight underneath the foot, nice balanced shoe. You can easily turn over the legs quite quickly with that being about 200 grams. The shoe's not pushing either way. If you do roll in like me or do pronate, it is still quite a stable shoe throughout the whole shoe, so there's not a whole lot of shoe torsion at all through that midfoot section. So even if you are having that slightly bit more flexible foot, I found this works brilliantly. I do just use a inner sole in these guys. But as far as the outsole goes, basically no rubber there. So you just, it's high abrasive pads where they should be. So you got a bit more in the heel as well as the medial side on the forefoot. If you do forefoot pronate like myself, it's just gonna wear a bit less on that medial side and end up getting a bit more Ks out of them. But you'd probably look at about that 500, 600 Ks. Some people have pushed this to 800 Ks, but you're just gonna compress that foam quite a lot, and there's just not going to be a whole lot of traction from that EVA outsole left. Then the midsole, just basically 1 unit of fresh foam by New Balance. I don't think it's their fresh foam X, it's not laser engraved or whatever they do to make it an X. Kind of a bucket seat at the rear of the foot, so similar kind of concept that the Hokers are doing. Slightly bit more stack height on that medial side, so I felt like this is more of that stable neutral shoe. So you are quite guided at the rear of the foot. There's no kind of different densities when it comes to the actual durometer of the cushioning system. It is the same cushioning system the whole way through, but I felt like you're quite a stable platform and a bucket seat at the rear of the foot, and it just guides you quite nicely onto the midfoot section as well as your forefoot, so it makes quite a smooth toe off, full ground contact, so even the transitions from the heel to the forefoot is quite smooth. Fresh foam, tons of stack height. It does take quite a lot of fatigue out of the legs or even just the joints while you are running, so each gait cycle makes it a bit easier. The shoe actually takes a bit of shock out of the legs than just running on some other lightweight daily trainers. Then the upper, yeah, pretty simplistic. Pretty sure it's only a 1-layered mesh by New Balance. Very breathable. Only really downside to this shoe is it just doesn't have an attached tongue or even any eyelet on the eyelet chain to keep that tongue in place. They could easily do a similar thing to what they have done to the Prism. I don't think the Prism has a attached tongue, but you need that eyelet loop on the eyelet chain so it just doesn't slip down to that medial or lateral side. But apart from that, the upper fits great. It's one of the only shoes. I did end up locking lacing this. It just ends up being a bit more secure, but even with or without that lock lace, the Ultra heel that New Balance have does lock in the heel very well. There's no kind of slipping or irritation. It just feels like a nice balanced shoe. You don't really notice like you got a shoe on your foot. Pretty simplistic. There's not a whole lot going on with the Beacon range. I just end up touching on the changes that they have made from the version 2. Hasn't been a whole lot. Like the outsole's basically identical. This one's done about 200 k's plus quite a bit of working. Then just the midsole, slightly bit more of a stack height I think in the version 3. That's what it looks like. Then the upper. The version 1 upper was great. A lot of people prefer the version 1 upper to the version 2. I personally loved the V2. Nice and breathable, just didn't irritate the feet at all. And the good thing about these guys is just the big toe doesn't taper in too quickly, so you're not getting that big toe pushing into that outside. So having any kind of irritation on that big toe or just limitates getting ingrained toenails. So nice round toe box. There's just a lot of wiggle room there, but it is still quite a shallow fit, so there's not a lot of slipping around, but it just fits onto the foot quite nicely. So we've kept the similar last shapes, and the only thing they really have changed is that upper, so makes it slightly more breathable, even though the other one was. And I think with that I think they're using more of that kind of nyloning mesh nowadays, so durability wise it holds up over the life of the shoe as well. Pretty simplistic shoe. We'll have this Beacon version 3 compared to like a Kinvara 11 as well as a Rincon 2 shortly. All those are great daily trainers, but I personally love this shoe. Probably will end up picking it up. Goes hand in hand with like a New Balance 1080 V10, so if you have been running in a 1080 V10 and just want something a slightly bit lighter, just do a bit of speed work in, these are great to pick up the pace in. You can easily, does have a bit of energy return. If you do want something that's a bit more kind of propulsive, I'd probably look at the Propel by New Balance, hence the name. Gives you a slightly bit more back than the Beacon does, but you can easily turn over the legs very quickly with these, pick up the pace, and even see if you can chase a PR. Yeah, that's about it when it comes to Beacon version 3. If you're currently running in these yourself, let us know in the comments, or if you do want any more information at all on this shoe, or any others by New Balance, just hit us up in the comments, and we'll just try and get to your questions. But that's about it. We'll see you later. But if you are wanting some budget shoe, like I think these come in at 270 bucks. I think New Balance had a sale on them the other week for, oops. 270. Yeah, 270, good shoe.